The 49ers got frightening news today that if the report is correct, frankly, we are all in for a long ride. I've got all of the info on that, plus a wild update on the defensive coordinator situation all right now. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content, but ESPN's Ben Solak had a terrifying statement, to be totally frank, today. That might literally cause me to lose sleep tonight if it's true. Here's what Ben Solak said. He said, unlike most teams that rush to sign young free agents to big contracts, the 49ers will elect to wait on Purdy's contract. They want to see more of the quarterback in the changing offense to be sure he's their franchise guy. He'll be a free agent in 2026. This will lead to a training camp holdout that ultimately resolves with Purdy playing, but makes for good summer drama. And I'm just going to be like, nope. Take that good summer drama wherever you found it and take it back. I don't want it. I don't want to hear it. And no one in the Bay Area is using the word good, talking about the summer drama that the 49ers and the 49ers fans have experienced over the last several years. So this is a worrying prediction. To my understanding, it's just a prediction that Solak is making, but I don't like it. I don't like any bit of it, and I'm not a fan of it. The 49ers have learned their lesson, I hope, by now, with Brandon Aiyuk. Before that, with, of course, my goodness, Nick Bosa, then Deebo Samuel. I mean, like, George Kittle even had a late signing. Like, we cannot have players continue to show up to training camp or miss training camp entirely and try and come into the middle of the preseason ready to go. Like, it's just not going to happen. 49ers, please don't do this. Please be wrong, Ben Solak. Now, is he correct? Is he wrong? I actually think that he's wrong. But he does have some merit to what he's saying, but I do think he's wrong. I'm not so sure that this is the truth. And Kyle Madsen wrote a great article pointing this out. Well, listen, I think what we know about Brock is that he's our guy. We have interest in Brock being around here for a long, long time. He's done so much for our organization. He's won big games. He had a little tougher task, as we all did this year, with some of the things that happened throughout the course of the year. We just never could string games where we were all together. And through that, he continued to lead. He continued to play at a high level. So we have every interest in him being around. That's what John Lynch said. So I have a hard time believing that Solak is right. But I do think if I were Ben Solak in this situation, what I'd be saying is that's just GM speak. That's just a general manager doing his job. You know, making sure that everybody knows they're all wanted, making sure everybody feels like they're valued, yada, yada, yada. I don't get that read myself, but I do understand where they're coming from. Had a really interesting tweet out there today by Larry Krueger, who said, I've said in the past that I believe Brock Purdy will ultimately get between 45 to 55 million AAV. But after talking to some key people today, I now believe that Brock's deal will definitely be north of 60 million. Now, before you're about to start freaking out, because everybody likes to freak out about AAV, the contract details, the contract structure are far more important. But yes, the number is big. Here's what he said. 2, the Niners won't be able to build a talented roster if they pay Brock $60 million crowd. See the Philadelphia Eagles, who are paying their quarterback top-tier money and still have a stacked depth chart. It can be done, but it's imperative that you continue to draft well. As for any possible timeline, it could happen at any point. In my opinion, the 49ers absolutely can't let this drag into July. Thank you, Larry. Saying what we're all thinking. Love it. Continuing on, nobody has ever won a Super Bowl in a year when their starting quarterback held out of camp. San Francisco can't have that. One interesting note, Purdy's agent is Kyle Strongen of Range Sports. And let's see here. And according to his online bio, he used to work in the 49ers organization in the player personnel department as a scouting assistant. So he might have developed relationships with some of the 49ers brass. Okay. That would be cool if that's the case, but I think the big picture here, and then we got to get to the wild defensive coordinator developments. That's just crazy stuff that's happening there. But the thing that I think to take away from this is hopefully Larry's right. Hopefully, the 49ers front office feels the tension that is just different with the quarterback than it is with the wide receiver. And there's no disrespect to Brandon Aiyuk. There's no disrespect, for any of the previous guys who have held out. But we have to agree that it's different. when you have your starting quarterback who you're prepared to pay really big money for holding out, it's a completely different ball game. You cannot play football games without your starting quarterback. You have to go into the free agency and you have to go find somebody because you just can't do it. Camp isn't the same. Nothing is the same on offense without your starting quarterback. So I just don't believe the 49ers will let it get that out of hand. And I do believe that Brock Purdy, despite what everyone wants to say about him, I do believe he will hold out. I do believe he left a little clue when he said, we'd like to get this done so that we could all be playing in April in OTAs, right? That tells me that if it's not done, he's not playing in OTAs. That's just my take. You can have a different one. Let me know in the comments. But let's move on to the defensive coordinator drama. We're going to speed through this because we're already 5 minutes in here. But it starts with some Liam Cohen drama, okay, whereby he had pulled his name out of the hat, or pulled his name out of the ring, pulled his hat out of the ring, something like that. Wow, I forget how the phrase goes in the moment. But he had basically said that he wasn't going to bother going after the Jaguars position. But with Balky out, all of a sudden, it's looking more interesting. And now he's looking like he's in, and he hasn't signed on the dotted line with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a new contract. And who knows? Maybe he is the front runner and he's still going for the Jacksonville job, which all looks good for Robert Saleh, of course. And you know what? Not that long ago, maybe, 20 minutes ago, I had recorded a completely different video where we talked about this situation before I saw this tweet. This information that came out that was busy, with the family and stuff, not realizing that Robert Saleh is heading back to San Francisco as the defensive coordinator. And that means that our energy is back. That means there's so much that's wrapped up in there. I threw a throwback picture of Saleh and Fred Warner. You can always tell it's throwback with Fred Warner because of the length of his hair. But I threw a throwback just as a reminder of we're going back to something. There was something there that we've been missing, and I'm so hyped to see Saleh on the sidelines. I know you are too. There's just I'm so fired up about it. Okay, but Matt Barrows also tweeted that the 49ers interviewed Jets special teams coach Brant Boyer for their special teams coordinator opening. Boyer, 53, has been leading the Jets special teams since 2016, which means he survived 3 regime changes. Some think he's the lead candidate for San Francisco. This actually is a link to Robert Saleh. I saw another tweet somewhere else, and I forgot to snag it, that said that Robert Saleh kind of pushed for this opportunity for Boyer. The 49ers interviewed Brant Boyer. This is Matt Mayoko's take. He added that a source told him Nick Sorensen is not expected to remain with the 49ers. So best of luck to Nick Sorensen. Appreciate all the hard work and effort and all that good stuff. But he is on his way. So my goodness, folks, where are you at right now? How are you feeling about all of this? Because I'll be honest with you guys, I told you, if the 49ers put all their eggs in the Robert Saleh basket, they better get it right. They better not mess that one up. One comment of the day I wanted to shout out here. On a fair disagreement, we talked about Pete Carroll, and, that was a real quick, looks like it's going to be a quick one and done on the conversation front. Who even knows if Pete Carroll would be interested in a defensive coordinator position after all these years. But, a lot of people were open to the idea of Pete Carroll. There was one person, Leroy, who disagreed, and I wanted to share what he had to say because he had the best comment. It was just genuinely who had the best comment yesterday? Definitely the best comment. So here's what Leroy said. Pete Carroll may be too familiar for other teams. I'm kind of meh about Carroll right now. Maybe someone younger with a more aggressive scheme to lock down opponents' offense. Looking back when we had a hard-nosed, defensive-minded like Singletary's team, all he was missing was the offense. The question would be, who is today's Mike Singletary? Now, I can't answer that question right this second, but what I can say is you made a great point, Leroy. I appreciate your take on the reality that Pete Carroll, many people believe that Pete Carroll got found out. That's just the truth, that his defense got figured out, and by the time he was done with the Seahawks, there just wasn't enough new flavor there to get anything over the line. And that's possible. I've wondered about this for many years because we never get to see behind the scenes. We don't know, hey, what's the effect of, guys like Russell Wilson no longer having a good relationship with all of his teammates? What is the effect of guys like Pete Carroll being around for so long, and now you have so many personnel changes over the course of time that is it as simple as his defensive scheme is just not working anymore? Or is it there's just no juice left? Like they just need a new influx of energy, i.e., a Robert Saleh, for example. Like maybe that's what the problem was. I don't know. I always kind of lean toward those things. I think schemes and personnel are this like beautiful combination. And then there's how those schemes work and get tweaked in really, really small ways. And so in my mind, I'm like, no, that scheme is always legit. All of these schemes can be legit with the right personnel. Same thing with 3-4. It's like we don't have the right personnel right now to be a 3-4 defense, right? Like those types of things. But if you have the right personnel, you can run a lot of different types of schemes. That's just my take. You let me know what you think in the comments, of course, as always. But the last thing that Leroy said was today's fantasy would be a reunion of Khalil Mack and Max Crosby wearing Niners uniforms alongside Bosa. Could you imagine? My word, that would be a crazy situation. Well, I look forward to seeing all of the comments about what's going on with the Brock Purdy situation, what's going on with Robert Saleh, and maybe even some takes on Khalil Mack, Max Crosby, and Nick Bosa all on the same defensive front. That would be pretty wild. I look forward to it, and I hope you have a fantastic Thursday night.